Good morning, guys. This is Miss Robinson. I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about makeup hours and what this means for your credits and your absences. We want to make sure that everybody has a very clear understanding of what the expectation is because it's something new to high school, and we don't want you to start accumulating time and running the risk of losing credits. So let's get started. Of course, every day at school is very important. It counts. Every single period counts. We want to make sure that you are maximizing your learning time and not missing any time. So the state of Texas requires that all students are in attendance for 90% of days of enrollment to receive credit. This is not a Dobie rule, and it's not a Pasadena ISD rule. You have to make sure that you are in class for at least 90% of the days that you're enrolled. If a student is not in attendance for 90% of the time, credit will be denied for the class or classes in which 90% attendance was not met. So that means that you would not earn credit and that you would have to take the course again. Every school year has 180 days. This is how many days every student in the state of Texas attends school. So you're in school for 180 days. 10% of those days is 10% of 180 days is 18 days. So that means that you are allowed 9 days of absences per semester. If you miss more than 9 days of school per semester, you will be denied credit unless you make up your time. Again, this is a state of Texas rule that says that you have to be in attendance for 90% of the days that you're enrolled. So that means that you can only be absent for 10%, which is 9 days per semester. Let's talk about the different types of absences. So these absences that I'm going to talk about first are the absences that do not accumulate makeup hours. If you have a medical appointment, so a dentist appointment, a doctor's appointment, anything like that, that you will have a doctor's note for, that will not be counted towards your makeup time. Just bringing a parent note for staying home sick does not prevent makeup hour accumulation. There has to be a doctor's note. It has to be a medical appointment. Religious holidays would not count towards hours. U.S. naturalization appointments, court appointments, college visits, military visitation, or any kind of school-related event. So if you're absent because of a game or because of a field trip, that will not count towards your makeup hours. Things that do count towards your makeup hours are going to be being homesick without a doctor's note and without a doctor's visit. That's not, again, a parent note is not going to stop you from accumulating makeup hours. Being sent home sick from school and not following up with a doctor's visit. So let's say you go home at 10 o'clock in the morning and you miss 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th period. You will be counted absent, of course, for those classes, and those classes that you miss will accumulate hours for towards makeup hours. If you miss the bus, that's not going to be excused. You're going to have, that's going to count as an absence, and you're going to have to make up that time. Any other reason that's not mentioned as an excused absence that's not on the list on the left is going to count towards your makeup hours. Of course, truancy. If you are skipping class and choosing not to go to class, that's going to count towards your time. And one big thing that we want to make sure you really understand is that when you are more than 10 minutes late to class, that is counted as an unexcused absence, which is then going to go towards your makeup hours. Make sure that you're getting to class on time. Make sure that you're especially not getting to class more than 10 minutes late, because that will count as an unexcused absence, not a tardy. That's especially important for first period because that's where we see the accumulation the most for being counted absent when you're more than 10 minutes late. All right, so like I said, being absent more than 9 or more times, being absent 9 or more times per semester for any of these reasons is going to accumulate hours. So just to reiterate, being absent for being homesick, staying home just because you want to stay home, going home without a follow-up doctor's visit, skipping class, being more than 10 minutes late to class is going to accumulate your hours. So what happens if you have makeup hours? Your credit for the class will be denied if you do not make up the time. That means that you will have to take the course again if credit is denied. You're not going to be passed. We're not going to have a meeting and say, oh, but he really tried really hard. Nope. If you are absent too many times and you have makeup hours, your credit is going to be denied. Even if you are passing the class, you could have a 100 in the class. If you are not, if you have not been in class enough, you will not earn the credit. This is a state of Texas rule, not a Dobie rule, not a Pasadena rule. So that means that you're going to have to take the class again if you have not been in attendance enough time. You must make up your absences. So it doesn't mean that if you miss those classes that there's nothing you can do. You can make it up, but you gotta make sure you do make up that time, which is what we're going to talk about next. So how do I make up my time? you go to Mega Lunch Tutorials. That's something that we hope that you're doing anyway, but Mega Lunch Tutorials is going to log in time for you to accumulate makeup hours, or to get credit for your makeup hours, so that you can get rid of that time that you owe. You can go to before and after school tutorials by teacher appointment. So if your teacher is okay with you going to tutorials before or after school, that time will also count towards your makeup hours. And on Saturdays, we also have time that you can go, usually from 8 to 12, Saturdays at the main campus, where you can make up time as well. Makeup hour rules for tutorials. Tutorials toward makeup hours must be in the areas of English, math, science, social studies, world language, and CTE. Going to tutorials for PE will not count. You have to make sure that it's for an academic course, and that you are actually getting some tutorial time. You also cannot accumulate more than 4 hours per week. Of course, this does not include Saturdays, because just on Saturdays alone, you can get 4 hours at one time. So no more than 4 hours per week may be accumulated, but you can get up to 4 hours of credit time. And hours may not be granted for community service type activities, such as scraping gum off desks or picking up trash or anything along those lines. So make sure that you are actually going for academic tutorial time. How will you know if you have makeup hours? We're going to provide you with periodic notices in homeroom. Today, if you have makeup hours, you will be notified, and you're going to sign a sheet of paper acknowledging that you received the notice about owing time. You just need to know too that if you've been absent, you need to stay on top of it. You need to make sure that you're getting into tutorials to make up your time. You can bank up time every time that you attend tutorials. So that's going into your log of tutorials, so that'll count towards your makeup hours, just to be attending tutorials just because you're attending. I hope this has given y'all some information. If y'all have any more questions or anything, please come see your AP. You can see me if your last name is A through F, Mr. Brownlee if your last name is G through N, and Miss Alexander if your last name is O through Z. Y'all have a great day and happy Friday.